Tonight, war of words continue between the All Progressives Congress and opposition People's Democratic Party over the defection of Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawalle to the ruling party. More reactions trail the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill by the National Assembly. INEC insists it has the capacity to transmit election results electronically nationwide. Youths and clerics from southern Kaduna protest against insecurity in the state, demand renewed intervention by the federal government as well as religious leaders. And hundreds still missing after severe flooding wreaked havoc across Western Europe. Rescuers step up efforts to find survivors.
On business news tonight, African Development Bank plans $456 million intervention fund for Nigeria's trade and infrastructure.
And on sports news tonight, the International Olympic Committee asks the Japanese people to get behind the Tokyo Olympics as the first COVID-19 case hits the Games Village.
The All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party have continued their war of words over the defection of Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State. The decision of the governor last month came as a shock to some PDP leaders who have also gone to court to challenge his action. However, APC members described the PDP's decision to challenge the defection in court as laughable, insisting that the governor cannot be prosecuted while still in office.
This news conference by members of the Zamfara State chapter of the All Progressives Congress is a reaction to calls by the People's Democratic Party asking Governor Bello Matawalle to vacate his office following his defection to the All Progressives Congress. The PDP had in a statement on July 11th warned banks and other financial institutions against having unauthorized transactions with cronies of Governor Matawalle. The party has also gone ahead to challenge the matter in court, but chieftains of the APC in the state described the action as laughable.
This team PDP are doing are trying to fool him down politically, and they are trying to also bring a serious security problem in the Zamfara State. Let them go and face their problem and try to put their house in order, then stop chasing shadow. Because when Obaseki defected from APC to PDP, who challenged him? They were celebrating. When Amin was the return ball, also defected from APC to PDP, they were celebrating. When Autumn also defected from APC to all of them were celebrating. Why are they against Matawalle Marade?
The PDP had earlier warned the Zamfara State governor against defecting to the APC, insisting that it will go to court to reclaim its mandate, a threat the party has carried out.
The PDP categorically cautions the Zamfara State Governor, Bello Matawalle, to know that his plans amount to a decision to vacate office, as no law allows him to cross over to any other party with a governorship mandate statutorily given to the PDP through the ballot box, as already established by the provision of the 1999 Constitution as amended and the standing judgment of the Supreme Court. What happened in Zamfara will be a subject of legal jurisprudence.
Between November last year, when Governor Dave Umahi of Ebonyi State defected to the APC, and now, the PDP has lost 3 governors to the APC, but the Zamfara State governor's defection is the first that the party will be challenging in court.
The Akwa Ibom State Governor says that the 5% oil equity contribution for host communities demanded by southern governors is not too much, considering the devastating effect of pollution on such communities. Mr. Udom Emmanuel condemned the 3% approved by the National Assembly, describing it as little. The governor, who stated this while fielding questions from journalists during a visit to Minna, the Niger State capital, also gave reasons why he believes the People's Democratic Party should be voted into power in 2023.
I don't think it's fair to just say only 3% to the host communities. Our fishermen can no longer earn a living because of oil spillage. All communities will get no more farmlands and so on. So people need to see the devastating effect of this on these communities. And it's not so much to just say out of the profit of the NNPC, just give these people only 5%. I don't think they were asking for too much. But if in the wisdom of the National Assembly, they say they want to pass 3%, so who are we? We can't take away their functions, so they are performing their functions. So we also perform our own. The whole country should vote for PDP in 2023. And once we come back to the center, we are bridge builders. We will reunite Nigeria. We'll build the economy of Nigeria. When we were at the peak of our economic glory, trust me, was when PDP, when we were in power. So if you've tested PDP and you discover that they've delivered, so why not try them again?
Reactions continue to trail the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, especially the decision by the National Assembly on the electronic transmission of results. This time, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is insisting that it has the capacity to transmit results electronically nationwide for future elections. INEC's National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education, Mr. Festus Okoye, stated this during our breakfast program, Sunrise, adding that the process will be guided by the law at all times.
Our position has been clear, our position has been consistent, and that is that this particular commission is irrevocably committed to deepening the use of technology in the electoral process, and that we want broad powers to enable us deploy relevant technology in the electoral process. As you are aware, this particular commission has been test running different technological solutions in the electoral process for quite some time. And if you also look at some of the elections we have organized since 2020, you can see that we have uploaded the results of 22 elections, including state assembly elections, House of Representatives elections, senatorial elections, and governorship elections into our central portal, where the public had an opportunity of viewing them. Now, these elections that we have uploaded course across all the 6 geopolitical zones. So we have uploaded results from very remote areas, even from areas where you have to use human carriers to access. We have uploaded results from those areas. And so we have made our own position very, very clear that we have the capacity and we have the will to deepen the use of technology in the electoral process. But as I say, our powers are given by the Constitution and the law, and will continue to remain within the ambit and confines of the powers granted to the Commission by the Constitution and by the law.
From political to security matters now, some youths from southern Kaduna are calling on the federal government to declare a state of emergency in Kaduna State due to the rising cases of killings, kidnappings, and other forms of crime. The protesters who gathered at the Unity Fountain in the nation's capital claim that most of the killings and kidnappings take place in the southern part of the state, and they want the federal government to bring the insecurity in the state to a halt.
Young people, some dressed in black and displaying placards bearing their concerns on the state of security in southern Kaduna, gather at the Unity Fountain in Abuja to draw the attention of the federal government and the international community to the situation in the state. As some could not hold back their emotions.
If security presence is there, and then there have been attacks all these years, and then no single arrest is being made, not even talk of prosecution, then what are we saying? So government is not sincere in this situation.
Our government is sleeping. Something must be done. Something must be done. They are not taking responsibilities of what is happening. And we must sleep with your eyes closed. This must stop.
Kaduna State has had its fair share of insecurity, including banditry, kidnapping and arson. For these protesters, the situation has overwhelmed the state government as they call on the federal government to declare a state of emergency in the state.
Our villages are being invaded on a daily basis. As I speak to you now, I have been living as a fugitive in my own country. Why? Because there are threats on my life. What we want as youth of southern Kaduna, we want a state of emergency be declared in Kaduna State.
But they're not the only ones concerned about the situation. In another part of the fountain, these clergymen from southern Kaduna are holding prayers and calling for an end to the insecurity.
All these people who are making trouble, fomenting crisis here and there, killings and maiming and kidnapping and abductions, they are all members of one church or one mosque or the other. So we religious leaders must ensure that we preach the truth and we preach righteousness and caution our people so that they will know the consequences of all of the vices that they are engaged in.
Insecurity is a major concern for many Nigerians. It is also a source of great concern to the government, who on a daily basis assure citizens of solutions to the problem.
Members of the Tiv ethnic group in Taraba State may have to wait for some time to hear the verdict on their suit against the state government over alleged profiling of the group, as the Federal High Court sitting in Jalingo, the Taraba State capital, has adjourned judgment indefinitely in the case alleging violation of their fundamental human rights. The case is predicated on the withdrawal of a representative of the Tiv ethnic group during the 90-day sitting period of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry, seeking to find a solution to the recurring crisis between the Tivs and their neighboring communities.
Between 1991 and now, hardly does a year pass without a record of crisis in Taraba State. They come under different shades, like clashes between Tivs and Jukun's ethnic groups and the farmers' herders' crisis. Countless lives are lost, not to mention properties destroyed. As a way to find lasting solution to these crises, Governor Darius Ishaku in July 2020 launched a commission of inquiry to look into the root causes of the crisis between the Tivs and their neighboring communities in Taraba State. And less than a month after, representatives of the Tivs withdrew their participation, claiming to have no confidence in the panel. Regardless of their withdrawal, the commission went ahead, and 90 days later, it submitted its report, which the governor promises to work on.
So we didn't go about to witch hunt anybody, but to seek ways and means whereby the recommendations that we have made, when government considers them and implements them, they will bring about stability and peace.
It's very easy to start a war, but it's extremely difficult to stop it. It's very easy to disturb the peace of the environment. It's very difficult to ensure that we maintain it. We will do our best to make sure that we bring the culture of peace and cherishing peace, enduring peace in the state.
Dissatisfied by this sit-in, the representatives of the Tiv group approached the Federal High Court to challenge an alleged profiling. Close to a year after filing that case, it eventually came up for hearing, and it was adjourned indefinitely for judgment.
So we're happy because it's a long, tortuous way. We have been here since August last year, and it's a fundamental rights matter that is supposed to end maybe within some few weeks or some few months, so to speak. But we have been caught for close to 1 year.
The most important is that it was a fact-finding commission. They were given the opportunity to come and respond, and they actually filed their memorandums there. But just along the line, if you recall, they opted out of that proceedings. So having opted out of the proceedings does not mean that it amounts to fair hearing.
Whenever the judgment is made, the prayer is for it to fix the security challenges in the state once and for all.
In part two, after the break, a day after flood resulting from heavy downpour ravaged parts of Lagos, some of the affected residents demand better infrastructure in the nation's commercial capital. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. War of words continue between the All Progressives Congress and opposition People's Democratic Party over the defection of Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawalle to the ruling party. More reactions trail the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill by the National Assembly. INEC insists it has capacity to transmit results electronically nationwide. Youths and clerics from southern Kaduna protest against insecurity in the state, demand renewed intervention by the federal government as well as religious leaders. And hundreds still missing after severe flooding wreaked havoc across Western Europe. Rescuers step up efforts to find survivors. A group under the aegis of the Forum of the 2019 presidential candidates is asking the president to investigate security spending since he came into power in 2015, saying that the current security situation in the country is not commensurate with the government's efforts. The chairman of the group, Mr. Onagbuwa John Afo, contends that there are reasons to believe that there are people in high places who are sabotaging government's efforts. The group, which addressed journalists after the executive committee meeting of the forum in Abuja, also urged the president to beam his searchlight on the security hierarchy and fish out those who are countering his efforts from within. In the aftermath of yesterday's heavy downpour in Lagos, some affected residents are asking for better infrastructure for channeling of flood waters. Our correspondent, Titilayo Aberowo, reports on the impact of the flood in different parts of the metropolis.
A day after Friday's torrential rainfall in various parts of Lagos State, many areas remain flooded. This is what a portion of the Agor Palace Way in the Okota area looks like. Ijora Badia is not left out. Now to the Lagos Island area where the rainfall dealt a hard blow. The Marina car park is all dried up. The flood is nowhere to be found after several hours of heavy downpour. But some cars which were submerged are yet to be picked up by their owners. While Marina is dry, the situation is different for some residents in the Lekki area. Spring Bay Estate is one of such. The road is completely taken over by flood. The story is the same at Itedo Market in Itiosa local government area. Some residents who live here are still scooping water from their apartments.
We've not experienced this kind of thing before. This is our first experience. All our house, our rooms, our electronic, everything is just damaged. Just the way you can see, you cannot even go inside. We've been pumping this water like the way you saw it. We've been pumping this water since yesterday. When you pump, the thing will come back, the pump, the thing will come. But the cause of this effect, where we've discovered is that there's a place behind. If you go back the community, there used to be a free land where water used to pass by to go. But I don't know, maybe the owner of the land filled the place, they fenced it around. So there's no free flow of water. As you can see, starting from this Otumba Street, Ballet Street, Mama's Bar Street, you go to Top 10, everywhere is flooded. So there's no way water can go. The government should help us. Maybe they can create something like drainage. All right, like you can see the whole of this street, no drainage. If they can walk on that street and then create drainage from all these streets that link to that place, that will channel the water, you understand, down to, there's one canal there. It's going to help.
Itadu market is a very close-by market to Lekki Phase 1, which people like to come. But since day before yesterday, after the rain, the water been flowing and nobody to come to the market to patronize the seller, you know. So I suggest the government to just find something and do about it.
Motorists in Osborne Phase 2 Ikoyi find it difficult to drive through the water. Flooding is the most common disaster in Nigeria, with majority of states in the country increasingly suffering from it. Mainly attributed to climate change, but experts say rainfall flooding can be controlled with proper planning and the provision of necessary infrastructure. Titi Layo Aberewo, Channels Television News.
The tenor of the Lagos State Judicial Panel on Restitution for Victims of SARS-related abuses and other matters has been extended again for another 3 months. The chairman of the panel, Justice Doris Okwobi, stated this while hearing petitions brought before it. This means that the panel will now sit until October the 19th, a day before the October 20th, 2020 shooting at the Lekki toll gate.
We just got a notice of the extension for another 3 months to 19th of October.
Meanwhile, the panel has also given a consent judgment in the case of one of the oldest petitioners appearing before it. The petitioner, Prince Adewale Adewuyi, is a bedridden 76-year-old man who had alleged police brutality and aggravated assault after his land in Badagry, said to be worth over 800 million naira, was forcefully taken over by the police in December 2013.
2013, Prince Adewale commercial farm was overrun by some overzealous Nigerian police men, and since then he has suffered serious economic blow and setback. In order to fast-track the judgment, we had to discontinue from Harcourt, State High Court, before we came to the judicial, NSAS. I am praying and advocating that this panel should be replicated. Even when they finish their job, the federal government, together with Lagos State government, should ensure that this type of panel is set up to fast-track judicial process, especially the situation whereby some people suffered injustice. If you suffer any form of injustice and you know that within 6 months there will be restitution, the matter will be addressed, you don't need to resort to self-help.
Nigeria appears to be making some progress in its quest to repatriate looted artifacts from around the world, especially with the return of 1,130 Benin bronzes from Germany. The Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Mohammed, who recently led a delegation to Berlin to discuss the modalities for the proposed return, says the agreement will be signed in December and the whole process concluded by August next year. According to the minister, who was speaking at a press briefing in Lagos, the federal government will take possession of the antiquities when they are returned.
We also agreed to have a definite timeline for the repatriation of the artifacts because Nigeria is tired of an indefinite timeline. Thereafter, it was resolved that the agreement on the repatriation should be signed latest by December this year, and that the repatriation should be concluded by August 2022. We made our German counterparts realize that Nigeria is averse to attaching preconditions to repatriating the Benin bronzes. We made it clear that these are our properties and it is not be proper to give us conditions for releasing them. We therefore agreed that the release will be unconditional, neither will it be staggered. These objects, we have decided that the repatriation of the artifacts should not be the end of an era, but rather the beginning of a new vista of stronger relations and collaboration, pivoted by cultural diplomacy between Nigeria and Germany. The federal government is aware of the widely reported controversy on who will take possession of the Benin bronzes when they are returned from Germany. Let me state clearly here that in line with international best practices and the operative conventions and laws, the return of the artifacts is being negotiated bilaterally between the national governments of Nigeria and Germany. What we are saying, in essence, is that the federal government will take possession of these antiquities because it is its duty to do so, in line with the extant laws.
To health issues now. An outbreak of cholera has killed 7 people in the new artisan market, Enugu, southeast Nigeria. The State Ministry of Health says 19 others are being treated for the infectious disease. According to the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Emmanuel Obi, surveillance, contact tracing and risk assessment have commenced at the market and its environs to stop the spread of the infection. As many parts of the world brace for the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, countries are executing strategies to protect their people from the Delta variant. The case is no different in Nigeria. And in this report, we go to the streets of Lagos to find out how much precautions the people are taking to avoid contracting the virus and reduce its spread.
With many nations gradually recovering from the first and second waves of the COVID-19, others are taking precautionary measures to check the third wave. Here in the country, Nigerians are looking forward to an end to the pandemic, which has stalled economic, social and educational activities. Meanwhile, the reality of the third wave of the pandemic seems to be dawning on the country. Following the fresh cases recorded at the University of Lagos recently, the school's management has shut down the hostels and asked students to go home. Also, there has been an announcement by the Awujale of Ijebuland, Oba Sikiru Adetono, cancelling the Ojude Oba festival, while some northern states are scaling down on the Eid festivities with the cancellation of the Durbar festivals in some northern cities. However, even though many are aware of the dangers of the disease, there are those who do not believe that the virus is dangerous and life-threatening.
I advise everybody to wear face mask, at least face mask for now. At least face mask for now. Because I'm afraid of this COVID. As I'm talking to you, I'm afraid.
My advice for all Nigerians is that let's keep on using our nose mask every time. Even apart from COVID, there are some other diseases.
A lot appear to be letting down their guard, with fewer found wearing face masks as they interact in clusters that exceed the recommended number allowed within social events.
We can actually go out there and distribute freely to people, maybe about 2-2, since you can actually have it watched, and the distributor should do it, and they should get the correct one, not just we want to give, let's just give, no.
We have regulated the numbers of patients that are coming to the clinics physically. so that we do not have overcrowding. We are doing a lot more of telemedicine now. So our patients are able to call us, tell us some of their symptoms, and then we are able to advise them.
Despite the options of vaccines available across the world, Nigeria, like other countries, still have to intensify efforts to get the jabs across to the citizens in order to contain the impact of the dreaded virus.
Work has commenced on the Port Harcourt campus of the Nigerian Law School in Rivers State. Governor Nyesom Wike, who has flagged off the project, said the gesture is for the advancement of legal education in the country. The Port Harcourt Law School will be made up of 1,500 capacity classroom blocks, a multipurpose hall, staff quarters, amongst other features.
This event is the flag-off of the construction of a campus of the Nigerian Law School in Port Harcourt, to be undertaken by the Rivers State government, and present here are some of the biggest names in the administration of legal education in Nigeria. This follows the approval of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, sequel to Governor Nyesom Wike's request less than a month ago. To be sited at the former campus of the School of Nursing near the new GRA, the Port Harcourt Law School campus will have a 1,500 capacity classroom block, hostel blocks for over 1,600 students, and a 1,500 capacity multipurpose hall, among other infrastructure.
The decision of siting law school in Port Harcourt is very, very key. Not only will it help in reducing the number of those who will ordinarily wouldn't have gone to law school at the time they finished, but will also improve the economy of the state.
For the Nigerian Law School and the Nigerian Bar Association, Governor Wike is enhancing the growth of legal education in the country.
It is obvious that the time frame of 6 to 8 months for commencement of academic activities will commence in Port Harcourt campus of Nigerian Law School. Sincere appreciation for your kind intervention and huge support for legal education in our dear country, Nigeria.
The single-minded focus and the deliberateness that the Rivers State government has paid to this particular project, and I am aware, not being a stranger to this part, that this is replicated in many other sectors of the state. If this can be done by our other subnationals, we can very quickly leapfrog our country to the El Dorado that we so desire.
Before flagging off the project, the Chairman, Council of Legal Education, announces the name of the campus.
Henceforth, this campus shall now be known and called Nigerian Law School, Dr. Nabo Graham Douglas SAN Campus, Port Harcourt, Rivers State.
Then the foundation stone is laid. The Port Harcourt Law School campus, when completed, will no doubt increase the number of applicants to be admitted into the one-year program and enhance the administration of legal education in the country.
As part of efforts to boost food security, the federal government, through the Anchor Borrowers Program, has flagged off the distribution of inputs to farmers in Adamawa State for the 2021 wet season. While in Gombe, the state government has subsidized the price of fertilizer in a bid to boost its agricultural development.
In a bid to harness the opportunities and potential in agriculture and drive rural income growth and accelerate achievement of food security, federal and state governments have been churning out different programs and strategies over the last few years. One of them is the Anchor Borrowers Program, an initiative of the federal government and implemented by the Central Bank of Nigeria. This gathering in Ganya local government area of Adamawa State is here to witness the flag-off of the distribution of inputs to farmers.
We are confident that with the deployment of best agronomic practices and with the quality of inputs that we are distributing today, our farmers will produce between 60 to 80 bags of paddy rice per hectare.
Beneficiaries commend the initiative, with the advice to ensure repayment of the loan so others can have access to same.
And I would like to advise them to kindly, with the high sense of nationalism, try and pay back this loan, because this loan is a revolving fund, so that if they pay, other farmers can also borrow from it and develop themselves.
And in neighboring Gombe State, the government is subsidizing the price of fertilizers to farmers. Governor Nuwa Yahaya, who is on a tour of fertilizer facility after flagging off the wet season farming, says apart from empowering farmers, the state government aims to make a state fertilizer production base in the region.
If we are to sustain, supply to the people at the right price and the right quality at the right time, we need to restore production in this plant. So we shall continue together with this company to improve productivity so that our supplies, and not only our supplies here, even some of the states around us that are not producing will be supplied from this plant, inshallah.
And so the 2021 farming season begins on the back of this success story, with expectation that it will boost subsistence and commercial agriculture for increased output.
For Governor Dapo Abiodun, repositioning Ogun State to become an investor's delight is his administration's priority. In doing this, he says infrastructure is crucial and is assuring residents that more roads will be constructed to ease movement of people and their goods. He gave the assurance while inspecting some ongoing road projects during his working visit to Ogun East Senatorial District of the state.
The tour to the local government areas of the state is designed to gauge the mood of residents on development as well as their expectations on infrastructure. As part of the working visit, Governor Dapo Abiodun leads other members of the state's executive cabinet on a tour of ongoing road projects in Ijebu-Ode, Ijebu-Igbo, Agowoye, all in Ogun East Senatorial District.
This road is 1.7 kilometers wide and dual carriageway. It has all the facilities and components needed for transportation. It has street lights, lay-bys, and transverse dot in the future when there's going to be communication. So everything is ready to receive it.
Enthusiastic residents troop out to appreciate the governor, who promises early completion of the roads. He also commends the quality of work done by the contractors.
Now we're here inspecting this 3.9 kilometer road called Mulisi College Road in Ijebu-Igbo. I must say that I'm impressed with the quality of work that the contractor is doing. The drainages are obviously precast and they're well done. So no doubt this will bring a lot of succor and relief to the good people of this local government.
The reconstruction of roads is appreciated by residents who say that it will bring a new lease of life to their communities.
We have our people across all nooks and crannies of Ogun State, and we all know the challenges they are facing as businessmen. But by the virtue of massive infrastructure facilities being in place, put in place by His Excellency, it has been able to reduce the pressure on us.
It is very, very beneficial because it is the main road that leads to Ijebu-Igbo and then that of Oyo State. Fantastic. In fact, the governor is trying.
The visit is rounded off with a political rally in Ijebu North, Northeast and Ijebu-Ode local government areas of the state in preparation for the forthcoming local government election.
From Ogun, we head north to Zamfara State, where bandits have reportedly abducted no fewer than 45 persons in several communities on Friday in an attack that lasted for hours. The residents of the affected communities in Shinkafi local government area are now even more anxious as the notorious bandit leader called Toji has reportedly given them a day's ultimatum to leave their homes. A source who confirmed the development to Channels Television says the bandit leader asked the locals to leave their communities over the arrest of his father by a rival bandit group in Kano State in a dispute over cattle rustling. For the latest in the world of business, here is Teniola Shobowali.
Thanks a lot, Melinda. Welcome to Business News. The president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, has announced plans by the bank to fund the Nigeria's trade and infrastructure. Speaking at a virtual meeting on investments, the AFDB president says the intervention fund will support the $256 million financing for Nigeria's transmission expansion project and the $200 million Nigerian electrification project targeting the provision of off-grid power supply. Other interventions by the bank include projects which seek to boost trade links between Nigeria and other West African countries. The total value of transaction carried out at the investors and exporters window of the forex market rose by 26.07% to $653.18 million for the week ended July the 16th. According to latest report from the FMDQ exchange, the weekly average rate for the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange also increased by 0.05% to 411 naira 7 kobo to a dollar compared to 411 naira 28 kobo recorded in the previous week. At the parallel market, the naira was unchanged as it remained at 500 naira to the dollar. Meanwhile, at the FX spot, forwards and futures markets, an uptick of 15.71% was recorded in the total turnover for this week to stand at $767.19 million. Meanwhile, the recent report on foreign direct investment released by the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission on March the 4th has raised concerns among international watchers who says it's important to address fundamental issues which deter foreign investment in the country. This next report seeks local and international opinions of the current FDI profile and solutions to increasing FDI with focus on strengthening domestic investment and driving confidence for both foreign and domestic investors.
Sequel to a report released by the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission on March the 4th, 2021, showing that Nigeria received pledges of $8.4 billion in manufacturing, construction and other critical sectors. Experts are looking to government to design projects and strategies to woo domestic investors and improve local content. The report indicates that of the $5.4 billion announced by foreign investors, $1.04 billion was expected from Morocco, $240 million from the United Kingdom, and $80 million from the United States, while the lion's share of $3.7 billion announcements were said to be from undisclosed investors. This data shows a gradual decline in international confidence in Nigeria when compared to 2019 and 2020.
If our share of foreign direct investment should be equal to our population, then we need to increase our share of foreign direct investment by a quantum of 3. So we are not there yet, but we are moving in that direction. Hopefully, something dramatic may happen.
A key destination for FDI, and this is due to a couple of reasons. One of them is the population and also the commodity. It's a market in terms when you look at the economic size of the country, and also the rich resources that the country has, and the great potential in sectors like infrastructure, energy. So great potentials where green field projects and mergers and acquisitions that investments are always interested in.
Others believe it's important that Nigeria begins to move away from controlled financial autonomy as they push for cordial relationship between federal and state governments.
Investment is about confidence. So we need to look at the key factors driving confidence of investors. And this confidence issue applies both to foreign investors and to domestic investors. And there are quite a number of factors, that drive investors' confidence. The basic thing is about the perception of risk in an environment, because investment is about risk. Investment is also about comparing the risk to the returns that you get from the investment.
Structure of the banking industry in Nigeria is focused on those that have, rather than those who are members of the population. So a lot more work has to go into financial inclusion and drawing the cash holdings that are currently held outside the banking system into the banking system. That would be a major contributor to the reduction of interest rates, which is one of the things that is holding back investment into Nigeria.
These suggestions, in addition to a call for adequate government policies, many believe it will propel foreign direct investment and address the economic difficulties.
In the equities market, the local bourse ended the week negative as the all-share index and equity cap declined by 0.12%, marking the third consecutive week of bearish sentiments. The week's loss was driven by sell-offs in Nigerian breweries, Dangote Sugar, Zenith Bank and Boa Cement. Meanwhile, the volume of shares traded within the 5 sessions was lower by 25.2% in contrast to the previous week, as about 1 billion shares changed hands for 10.93 billion naira in 17,297 transactions. 2 out of the 5 key sectors of listed equities recorded gains, particularly the oil and gas index, which rose by 1.81%, while industrial, insurance and consumer goods indexes were the laggards for the week. The trio of GT Holdings, UBA and Zenith Bank were the top 3 most traded stocks for the week. FTN Cocoa Processors topped the list of stocks with the highest growth in share price, while Ikeja Hotels PLC led the losers chart. And that's business news tonight. I'm Teniola Shobowale. It's back to Melinda for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Teniola. And for what's up in the world of sport, here is Kayode Alayode.
Thank you, Melinda. Welcome to Sports News. The International Olympic Committee, IOC, has asked the Japanese people to get behind the Tokyo Olympics as the first coronavirus case hits the Games village, prompting fears about the health risks posed by the competition. IOC President Thomas Bach appealed to the public to throw their support behind the athletes, despite fears of a spike in cases as thousands of international visitors arrive. The IOC president said he was very well aware of the doubts surrounding the Games, which have attracted low opinion poll ratings for months.
Of these 15, only 15, I may say, were tested positive at their arrival or during screening tests. So this is a very low rate of 0.1%. It goes without saying that all the concerned people were immediately isolated, and in this way they do not pose any risk.
Back home, Toja Marine Academy have emerged champions of the National Handball Division 1. The Lagos-based outfit defeated Police Machine 20-19 points in the final, played in Benin City, Edo State. Toja Marine Academy and Police Machine have also been promoted to the Handball Premier League. In the women's category, Bayelsa Queens and Confluence Queens qualified to feature in the Premier League scheduled to hold in Abuja in October. Meanwhile, the Edo State government has confirmed that Bendel Insurance will resume its matches in the Nigerian National League after the Nigeria Football Federation upheld its petition against Remo Stars. Bendel Insurance pulled out from participating in the league in protest of the alleged maltreatment of its players by Remo Stars in Ikenne, Ogun State. Edo State Deputy Governor Philip Shuaibu says Bendel Insurance will accept the verdict in good faith and will not victimize any visiting team. And AC Milan have confirmed the signing of Chelsea striker Olivier Giroud. Giroud joins the club on a 2-year term deal worth £1 million, with a further £1 million in appearance-related bonuses, and has been given the number 9 jersey by the Serie A giants. The France international flew to Milan to complete his medical and has now penned a contract with the club. Giroud's exit from Chelsea calls time on a 9-year spell in the Premier League after he spent 6 years at Arsenal before joining the Blues in 2018. That will be all on sports news. Back to you, Melinda.
Thanks, Kayode. On the international scene, rescue crews have been racing to find survivors of floods that have wreaked havoc across Western Europe, killing at least 170 people. Many people are still missing after the record rainfall triggered severe floods in Germany and Belgium, and the death toll is expected to rise further. Submerged cars are being searched for bodies as floodwaters begin to recede.
Rescue operations continue for survivors of the deadliest and most destructive flooding to hit Western Europe in years. Germany, Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland and the Netherlands have all been affected. But some of the worst damage is in Germany, where days of heavy rain turned streets into muddy rivers and damaged several buildings. Over 140 people, including 4 firefighters, have been confirmed dead in the country, and around 1,300 people are missing in one German district alone. German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, seeing some of the devastation firsthand in North Rhine-Westphalia, says recovery will take a long time. In neighboring Belgium, the army has been sent to 4 of the country's 10 provinces to help with rescue and evacuations. The country has declared a national day of mourning for next week as the number of deaths there rose to 27, with over 20 people missing. In the Netherlands, Dutch officials have ordered the evacuation of 10,000 people in Venlo, where the Maas River rose faster than expected. The high waters are expected to last until Sunday evening. Officials fear more dams could break and are closely monitoring reservoirs in the region. The devastating floods come after large parts of Western Europe experienced historic levels of rainfall, with more than a month's worth of rain falling within 24 hours. Experts say global warming makes torrential rainfall more likely. EU leaders have blamed climate change for the recent floods and have called for more climate action.
UK Health Secretary Sajid Javid says he has tested positive for COVID-19 and is suffering very mild symptoms. Mr. Javid, who said he had received both vaccine doses, took a lateral flow test this morning after feeling a bit unwell on Friday night, and he came back positive. He says he's now self-isolating until he gets the result of a PCR test. It is understood that Mr. Javid met Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Friday. It's not yet clear whether the Prime Minister will have to isolate. Meanwhile, England's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Professor Jonathan Van Tam, has warned of a bumpy winter ahead. It comes as the UK recorded more than 50,000 daily cases for the second day running, days before almost all legal restrictions on social contact are lifted in England on Monday. And the main news again. The war of words continued today between the All Progressive Congress and opposition People's Democratic Party over the defection of Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawalle to the ruling party, as the APC describes PDP's resort to legal action over the matter as laughable. Also today, the Independent National Electoral Commission insisted that it has capacity to transmit election results electronically across the country, following the conditions outlined by the National Assembly in the newly passed Electoral Act Amendment Bill. And hundreds of people are said today to still be missing after the severe flooding that wreaked havoc across Western Europe. This came as rescuers raced to find survivors. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Kilami on behalf of the team. Good night.